Hello, everybody. Welcome to From Darkness to Light radio podcast on my YouTube channel and on my Spreaker.com channel. This is the podcast that is unperfectly perfect. And I am your host. Of course, y'all know who I am by now. The reason I don't say who I am on my podcast is because there's a reason behind that. Because I'm doing two very separate, different things. So both of these podcasts are basically on my Perfectly Imperfect Recovery Life Coaching channel. And so I like to be a mystery. That's the one thing I love about being me. I like where I get to have some type of privacy. And after I went through what I went through in that sex code, I decided that I like the fact of my identity just being private. So that's just why I don't say it. But when I do my podcast, I'll say it, just not on, YouTube. I just don't, especially after everything I've been through. But y'all know who I am. Welcome to my podcast on YouTube and also on my other channels as well. I am a certified recovered life coach. It's all about helping people on their paths, their journeys, and their purpose to a new and better you through self discovery. I am someone on this particular podcast that's all about flaws and imperfections and how to turn those flaws and those imperfections into strengths. A lot of y'all don't understand that negativity can also benefit you, honestly. And let me explain what I mean by that. Let's say, for example, that you're someone that's currently going through a divorce, right? And yeah, at first it is hard, it is devastating. But then later on, it gets a little bit easier and less, traumatic. I always learn with negativity, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to get out of the negativity in order to get to the light at the end of the tunnel. And if God is walking with you through these journeys, then you're going to get to the other side of the tunnel. So I always say to people that's being bullied and being harassed, let me give you the best advice I can give you. Even though you're going through what you're going through, understand that 15 years later, on your 10th year, when you go to your reunion, that same person that bullied you is going to look the same way they did when y'all were younger. And they're going to be way nowhere near where they used to be. Because you'll be amazed how the people that bully you always end up doing bad and you end up doing well. So I would say this to anybody that's being bullied: there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And for parents of children that's being bullied, pull your children out of that school, or you need to get a actual restraining order against that child so they cannot be within 100 feet of your child. Do whatever is necessary to protect your child from these type of people, because there's too many children and adults that are being unalived because of suicide, or unalived because another person who was bullying them decided to unalive them by jumping them, or whatever the case may be. Like what happened to the young lady Kelsey, that she found out the dude that she was dealing with was still living with his baby mama, and this man has been trying to leave this girl, but yet she would never allow him to leave or move on. And she ended up unaliving the girl in a fight. And so the girl has to now do 20 years. Her and his sister got to do 20 years. So it's sad how people bully people. It really is sad, and it's really unfortunate. But I'm also going to be going into my powerful prayer for women, and we're going to read a couple things out of here. But let's talk about what makes a person ugly. I've been wanting to know the answer to this question for quite some time. What makes a person ugly? What makes a person unattractive? I'm just really trying to understand that, because it really amazes me how people really think they have the right to, sit up here and tell somebody that they're ugly and that they're fat, that they're this and they're that. Who gives you the right to do that? And what makes a person, I'm still trying to figure out, what makes a person ugly? What makes a person, because they're overweight, fat? I'm really trying to understand this. Why is it that y'all got such an issue with unattractive, average, and overweight people with illnesses, people with diseases, people that are just not perfect, or even people that have went to prison, who got out of prison, who served their time, and yet and still y'all act like that there's something wrong with these people, or anybody that's made a mistake in their past. Let me say this to all of y'all that fit these categories. I'm gonna need y'all to stop worrying about these negative people, because at the end of the day, my whatever I got going on, however I look, is gonna benefit me in the end. So we're gonna talk about God's version of beauty right quick. So give me a second. I'm gonna find some prayers right quick that got something to do with beauty. And while I'm looking for it, I want to know God's version of beauty, not humanity's version of beauty. I want to know what God's version of beauty is, because that's all that matters to me. Now, here's some scriptures, and I'm going to share my screen of what I'm looking at so you guys can look at it, of what God's version of beauty is. Now, the reason I want to do this is because a lot of people are suffering from low self-esteem, low self-worth, low self-values because of what they look like, or because they don't fit society standards, or because of the way their parents treat them because they don't look like their sibling. I have noticed that people that are attractive do get treated better. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna say they don't get treated better, because they absolutely do. But here's the kicker to it all. Do they deserve to be treated in that way? Probably not. Now, Peter's 3:3-4, well, 1 Peter's 3:3-4. Do not let your adoring be external, the braiding of the hair and putting on gold jewelry or clothes you wear, but let your adorning be the hidden person of the heart, with the imperishable beauty of gentle and quiet spirits, which God cites as very precious. So, God's version of beauty is more or less about your personality, whereas society standards is more about what you look like. Now, Proverbs 30:31 says, charm is deceitful, beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. God fearing. So God says that beauty is vain. I wonder what type of beauty he's referring to. Would it be the beauty that all of y'all keep putting and throwing in our faces? You mean the beauty that is of the external? Because God thinks of the external beauty as vain. Oh, okay, good to know. So you mean to tell me all of y'all who be basing women and men on what they look like and how much money they have, that would mean that basically that type of beauty is considered vain? And this is what it says in the Song of Solomon 4:7. You altogether beautiful, my love. There is no flaw in you. And then it says Samuel's 16:7. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his appearance or his height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not at, as a man sees. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. So for all of y'all out here that are judging people on what they look like, judging people on how much money they got, judging people on how they are in bed, judging people on the external part of themselves, judging people because they have eczema, judging somebody because they have a disability, judging somebody because of their height, judging somebody because of their weight. That is not what God looks at. That's what man looks at. Man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. So Jesus and God both look at the heart of a person. And that's how God picked the people that are his prophets. Now, in Genesis 1:27, God created man in his own image. In the image God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. And then it says Psalms 139:14, I praise you, but I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. Your soul, it is well. So I'm really trying to understand where in any of this has God said in any capacity that everything is based upon beauty, because from what I'm looking at, that's not the way God created us and what we should base people on. Isaiah 48, the grass withers, flowers fade, but the word of God stands forever. Corinthians 4:16, we do not lose heart, though our outer selves waste away. Our inner selves is being renewed day by day. I agree with that. That is true, because it isn't about the outer part of you, it is about the inner part of you. So when you are a godly person and you're a good person, it does not mean that you're going to be perfectly made, because you're not. You're going to be flawed in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But if people can't see past your flaws and imperfections, and they can't see past the mistakes you've made in your past that you repented for, and see that you actually worked on yourself and you actually healed yourself and recovered from yourself, and now you're a new person, and the only thing they see is how you were 25 years ago, then those are not people that you should be dealing with. It says Ecclesiastes 3:11, he made everything beautiful in its time. He has put eternity onto man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. So, yeah, I don't understand why in the world people think that beauty is outward. But then again, that like I said, man and God are two very different entities. Timothy 1, 2, 9, 10. Likewise, that women should adorn themselves in respectable apparel, with modesty and self-control, but not with braided hair, gold and pearls, and costly attire, but with what is proper for a woman who is profess godliness and good works. So basically, what that means is you ain't supposed to be running around here like a harlot, a succubus, a siren, and a Jezebel. There is nothing wrong with being a modest girl, and there's nothing wrong with being a good girl. But in this society today, they have a problem with somebody being a good girl, that being a good man, or being a nice person. Every time you try to be nice, somebody ends up trying to destroy everything you stand on. At the end of the day, it is truly sad, the fact that we're out here and we're trying to be a part of society that goes against everything that is of God. So when you're alone and you're by yourself, there is a reason for that. You're not supposed to be a part of that world. That world is going to reject you. And the more you try to be a part of it, the more you get sucked down a rabbit hole that you really don't want to go down. You go down the rabbit hole because you followed rabbits down the rabbit hole. Now that you're down the rabbit hole, now you're in a situation where you don't even know how to get yourself out of it. Y'all going out here wearing makeup and wearing fake false hair and false nails, and going and doing all these things to yourself just so you can fit society standards, just so you can attract somebody. But the problem is the people that you're attracting are non-believers with demonic spirits on them. You're attracting the wrong people. And then it says Proverbs 6:25, Do not desire her beauty in your heart. Do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. So, what that pretty much means is don't desire her because she's beautiful on the outside. Desire her because she's a beautiful woman in particular. Like her, love her because she's just a good person. So it says, Timothy 2:9. Likewise, also that woman should adorn themselves in a respectable apparel with modesty and self control, not braided hair and golds, pearls, and costly attires. So, in other words, as a woman, you're not supposed to be having this beauty that is of a Jezebel. You should have the beauty that is of a natural beauty, meaning no makeup and all this other stuff. Philippines 4:8. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, there is an there is any excellence, if there is any worth praise, think about though these things. So if you're honorable, if you're pure, lovely, just, and whatever is commendable, positive, you're still a beautiful person. So even though you may not be beautiful physically, you're still a beautiful person internally. Ezekiel's 28:17. Your heart was proud because of your beauty. Your corrupted wisdom for the sake of your splendor cast you to the ground. I expose you before kings to feast their eyes on you. Let me read that again. Your heart is proud because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. I cast you to the ground and I expose you before the kings to feast their eyes on you. Pay attention to what that means. So basically, what that means is anybody that is vain because of their beauty and they think that beauty is the only thing that makes them what they are, boy, you gonna go through something you ain't even gonna see it coming. The one thing God is big on is the fact of somebody being humble and more and have a moral compass. So if you're someone that's a very moral person, a very sweet person, you don't even have to be a drop dead gorgeous person to get people to pay attention to you. They're going to naturally pay attention to you because of the fact you are a godly person. So the people that are meant for you, the people that are meant to be with you, is going to be someone that's basically going to be a part of your community that you meet within the community, not based on going out, putting on a sexy outfit with some heels and some makeup, some fake hair, and walk out the door, and then you're getting the attention of a man that just wants you for sex. Okay. So then it says, let's see. I'm going down a little bit. Okay, Psalms 139, 13, 14. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mom's womb. You praised me, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it well. So they also say in Zachary's 9:17, how great is his goodness and how great is his beauty. Grain shall make the young man flourish, the new wine of the young woman. So there is nothing in here that says anything upon the physical beauty. But there is something here in these next couple of scriptures that I am going to read. Now it says the Song of Solomon 4:1, 7:13. Behold, you are beautiful. My love, behold, you are beautiful. Your eyes are doves behind your veil. Your hair is like a flock of goats leaping down the slopes of Glir. Your teeth are like the flocks of shorn eels that come out from the water, all which bear twins. Not one among them have lost its young. Your lips are like scarlet threads. Your mouth is lovely. Your cheeks are like halves of pomegranate behind your veil. Your neck is like the Tower of David, built in a row of stones. On it hangs thousands of shields. All of them are shields of warriors. Your two breasts are like fawns, twins and gazelles, and gaze on them like lilies. Now, what does that mean exactly? When you pay attention to the way a man speaks on you, if all he talks about is your beauty, all he talks about is your body, then he doesn't see you as a person. Proverbs 3:15-8. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing like you desire can compare to her. Long life is in her right hand. Her left hand are riches of honor. Her ways which of pleasantness, and her path are peace. She is a tree of life to those who lay hold of her. Those who hold her fast are called blessed. So, people think if you think about these scriptures, you're looking at something physically. No, you're talking about the person's character. Some people have a godliness to them, and it's a aura and an energy you can just feel, and it's just so fetches when you're around them. You just feel so happy to be around them, and it ain't got nothing to do with what they look like. They're just great people. Now, Isaiah says, confront my people, says your God. Speak tender to Jerusalem and cry to her that her welfare is ending and her iniquities is pardoned. She has received from the Lord hand doubled for all of her sins. Her voice cries in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley should be lifted up, every mountain and hill shall be low, and the uneven ground shall become leveled, the rough places a plain, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and the flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. So, a lot of people don't understand that even though you may have done some things internally, you can always go back to beauty. Okay. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're overweight, right? And you're trying to lose weight and you've been having the hardest time losing weight. Or if you lose the weight, you gain the weight back. And you keep gaining the weight back every time you lose it. So if you ask God to help you figure out why you keep gaining the weight back, more than likely it's because when you go through something negative, you end up going right back to the same habits. And a lot of times when we go through something negative, we end up eating something that's not good for us. So, for example, you might have somebody that might have lost 600 pounds, went and got gastric bypass surgery. Now they have other things going on because of that surgery. So you went and got plastic surgery, and that plastic surgery has now caused other problems. Instead of going to the gym and working out, instead of changing your eating habits, which is the most simple thing you can do, you decide to go and do something that is wrong. Okay? Why? It's, for example, you got some people may say you need to eat 5 times a day. You have some people that says you need to fast and eat twice a day and eat before 6 o'clock. You should have nothing between 6 and 7. And you should have 16 hours of fasting. So, is it easier to do it when you're off work? Yes, it's a whole lot easier to do it when you're off work. But when you're at work, you're not going to have time to do it because all you're going to want to do is eat because of the fact you need to stay awake. Now, sleeping is very important and getting enough sleep is very important. But all of this ties in to this particular topic. What makes somebody unattractive? If God is saying that beauty is internal and society is saying that beauty is external, then what makes somebody ugly? I'm just trying to figure that out. I'm just trying to understand because based on what I'm reading here, this has nothing to do with what beauty, based on society standards, makes beauty what it is. Because at the end of the day, a person that is a godly person to me will be representing of a beautiful person. A person that is a harlot, a succubus, a siren, and a Jezebel would be considered non-beautiful because they're tainted. See, when something is tainted, it's not beautiful. I don't care how physically it looks, in the inside of you, it's tainted. So that's what I'm saying. So this is Proverbs 31:26. She opens her mouth with wisdom and teaches of kindness is on her tongue. So let's say, for example, somebody says something negative to you, right? And you turn around and say something negative back. You just as ugly as they are. You just as trifling as they are. So instead of just saying, you know what, God bless you, all you gotta say is, look, okay, if that's the way you feel, okay, that's what's up. But no, we continue to argue with people that we shouldn't be arguing with in the first place. So I really don't understand why in the world it is that people don't understand this. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But people act like there is something wrong with a person because they're not society standards of whatever it is that you want them to be. So if you talk about ugly, as far as somebody being ugly, I'm just trying to figure out what makes somebody ugly. And do you have the right to call somebody ugly? I'm just trying to understand this because who are you to tell somebody that they're ugly? Because I'm just trying to understand that. So it's just sad how, people like to call people ugly. And it's just really sad. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm trying to find something. I'm trying to see something because now there's a couple of videos I'm looking at here when people are talking about being ugly and being unattractive. So I'm going to basically check out some things that some people said. So I'm gonna look at this one. Let me put y'all on mute for a second. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. And there's a young lady on here that talks about being ugly. And I want to listen to this because I really want to get an understanding of what makes somebody ugly And why? Because you're not society standards. Why is it that you have to be ugly? I don't really understand, because at the end of the day, society's standards of beauty is nothing but an illusion. It's not real. And it took me some years to really learn to love myself and learn to accept my flaws and imperfections and learn the good and the bad about myself. I learned that I no longer hide my flaws and imperfection, and it is the most freeing thing I've ever done. But at the end of the day, by doing that, you'd be amazed how my hair has grown back. My hair is gone on the top of my head, but you'd be amazed how my hair is almost grown back, and I might actually be able to wear braids, and I might be able to wear different hairstyles now that I actually my hair has finally grown back. I can even wear an afro and wear my hair and actually dye it and make my hair, you know what I'm saying, and finally grow it out and see how long it will be, and just get braids and just continuously wearing braids, or either getting my hair and wearing locks. I haven't decided yet. But I wouldn't mind having my hair dyed as far as my locks are concerned, because I would still be able to wash my hair, which would definitely be a good thing. I still be able to wash my hair. But like I said, I want to hear this young lady's story about being unattractive, because I really want to hear what she really has to say, and then go from there. So I'm gonna play this video because I want to get this an understanding, because this isn't just about romantic relationships. This is also platonic relationships, where there are people out here that have a hard time making friends. They have a hard time getting people to like them. And because they don't fit a certain image, they can't even prove that they're good people. And it's sad how people judge people on what they look like, judging people on the fact they don't have money or they're not successful. And because of that, I can't be friends with you. But yet you got people that are downright trifling and committing crimes and doing every negative thing known to man, and yet they're being accepted. But yet, just because this person is unattractive, just because this person does not have money, just because this person made one mistake in their past that they got to live with the rest of their life, somebody that actually has turned their life around, and yet and still you keep throwing it in their face what they do, just because somebody's black, just because of their nationality, just because of their gender, just because they don't fit society standards, they're pretty much treated as nobody. It's the same thing with police brutality, same thing when it comes down to men saying they don't want relationships, even though that's a bold-faced lie. So at the end of the day, I'm really trying to get an understanding of what makes somebody ugly. Because based on God's standards, I'm a very beautiful person. Because God's standards of beauty is completely different than man's standard of beauty. God's form of beauty is a person that is doing God's work, doing the right thing. They have a kind heart, kind spirit. But God's version of unattractive is a person that goes against God, that feeds into the seven deadly sins and lets these demons come in and just take over their lives. They're constantly doing everything that goes against God and hurting other godly people, and making other godly people end up turning against God because of the fact of this behavior. So even though you can be a beautiful person, it does not mean that you're not vain, that you're not feeding into the seven deadly sins. It does not mean that you're someone that can be around, just because in some aspects you're a godly person, but not in every aspect are you a godly person. So for example, you have women out here that's out here giving their bodies to multiple men and not understanding you're exchanging energy, and you're exchanging spirits, and you're exchanging fluids. So then when you go to the hospital and you find out you got HIV and some STD, you don't know where it came from, then there you go. And that's what I mean. You don't know what a demonic spirit is going to leave. And if you think a demonic spirit is going to be there for you when you go in to deal with the consequences and repercussions and karma of your actions, think again, because that's not going to happen. But let's listen to what she has to say about why being ugly, least attractive friends can actually be frustrating. Let's hear what this young lady has to say.
For me, what I came to realize is that no, I'm not ugly, I'm not unattractive. But if you're basing it off of society standards, I feel like society mostly views me as average. I'm also self-aware in the fact that most men don't view me as a 10. And that's something that I have just accepted. I've always been in that scenario where my friends are usually way more better looking than I am. The only way people are going to view you as a 10 is if you think of yourself as a 10. An unpopular opinion, I don't think that's necessarily true all the time. But just because I wake up in the morning and I tell myself that I'm a 10 does not mean I'm going to walk out of this house and every man that looks at me is going to think I'm a 10.
I agree with that because that's true. That is so true. Just because you feel you're a 10 doesn't mean everybody else is going to feel that you're a 10. Just because you walk out that door and you look very pretty does not mean when you walk out the door, the people that are bullying you are not going to do something to mess up your clothes. I have seen kids go to school and people pour stuff on them. I have seen people being bullied, being treated very badly. And I'm a living testament of that because I was bullied. So even if you dress up at your best, somebody's still going to turn back around and say something negative to try to expose you or try to get people not to like you. And what I don't understand is why is it you don't want this specific person to not have friends? Why is it you're bullying this specific person? Why are you sitting here manipulating and dealing with somebody that you really don't want to deal with, but yet you want to use them for everything you can get from them? And people like her, and she's a very cute girl. She's a very, very pretty girl, but she's not that Vava Lavoon. In other words, that Jezebel type of beauty. She's a godly version of beauty. An average girl is just a godly version of beauty, whereas the Meg the Stallions, the Cardi B's, and all of them would be considered the Jezebel, demonic Lilith type of beauty. Okay, that's just what they are. But let's continue. I'm gonna take myself.
That's just not realistic in my opinion. I've never been treated like I'm super attractive. Like I've never gotten any special treatment. I've never had pretty privilege. I've never had men go out of their way for me. I've never had men offer to buy me anything or pay for my food. It doesn't bother me anymore. I don't get upset by it. I've just accepted this is what I look like. I refuse to get plastic surgery. I'm not gonna change my facial appearance. And so either you like me or you don't. Going to be talking about being the least attractive person in the friend group. I have seen this topic being discussed on TikTok. I haven't really seen it being talked about on YouTube, but definitely on TikTok, which is where I get a lot of my video ideas. I swear TikTok is one of the most like relatable platforms, and I never thought I would be saying that. But in me, watching some of the TikToks of people talking about this, I could relate so much to what was being said. Now, for me, right, this has been the story of my life, my entire life. And it's something that bothered me a lot when I was younger, especially in high school. I hated myself in high school. I'm not gonna hold you. I really despised myself. Like I didn't like who I was. I didn't like how I looked. Granted, I feel like my looks have gotten better since high school, but I feel like that's the case with most people. Like when you look back at your high school photos, you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking? But no, I have always, and I kind of spoke about this too in the other video. If you guys haven't watched that one, make sure you guys go check it out. But I made a video before about not being viewed as attractive to society. And for me, that is what me coming to that realization is what has helped me and my self esteem. And I know people, will always give me pushback on that. People will tell me that I'm wrong for thinking that way. But it's literally how I've gotten over my insecurities because I used to think that I was genuinely ugly to the point where when I would look at myself in the mirror, I would burst out into tears because I couldn't stand looking at myself. Like that's how in the gutter my self-esteem was.
Okay, let's talk about that. She ain't the only one that feel that way. There are a lot of people that feel that way. That feel like because when they look at the girls on social media, as far as the influencers, they look at Kylie Jenner and the Kardashians, they look at all of these women and they're seeing these women, they feel like they don't compete. And you know that old saying, you can't compete where you don't compare? Well, the reason why that's important when it comes to you can't compete where you don't compare, it means you don't compare to these people. But that's not meaning that's a bad thing, because it's not a bad thing to not compare. And why would you try to compete with these females knowing that all these men are going to want these same females? So the best thing to do is not compete with them at all. It don't matter whether or not you lose weight. It don't even matter whether or not your hair grow back. It don't matter whether or not you become a woman that look like them. I'm still not trying to compete with them females. Even if I was to lose 40 pounds, and even if my hair was to grow back, or even if I went through what I'm going through with my medical issues, even if they get better, I'm still not competing with these females. I don't want to be looked at the way they're being looked at, because the way these men are talking about them in a sexual manner, the way these men do these females, I don't want to, because there's nothing better about them, because they get dogged out, they get cheated on, they get all these different things and sexually assaulted, and they get disrespected. If they lose their looks, they lose the man. That's how crazy it is. Why do you think so many of these women going to get plastic surgery? Because if they lose their looks, they lose the man. And then what's even more crazy is when they reach a certain age, these men want younger girls. So in other words, they're sucking the life out of you like a vampire, sucking away your youth, and then when you all of a sudden get older, now they don't want you no more. So like I said, it's crazy to me how people think that these beautiful women are better than unattractive women, when in all actuality, they have it worse than I do. Because I would never want to have to live up to them standards. I just wouldn't. In any way, shape, form, or fashion. I just wouldn't. But let's continue the video a little bit more.
And I wasn't I what made me finally not look at myself in that way is to kind of just come to terms with where society is. Society is very shallow. I mean, let's keep it a buck. I mean, for me, what I came to realize is that no, I'm not ugly, I'm not unattractive. But if you're basing it off of society standards, I feel like society mostly views me as average. And I don't look at that as necessarily a bad thing. I just look at it as that's just the truth. Everybody can't be a 10, and I've come to realize that I'm just not that. Now, again, that's not to say I'm not pretty. That's not to say I'm not beautiful. That's not to say that if I really put forth effort into my appearance and I get, nice and done up, that I'm not, killing it. But I'm also self aware in the fact that most men don't view me as a 10. And that's something that I have just accepted. And it's actually, again, helped me with my self esteem, and it's helped me to navigate to now where my self-esteem has actually gotten much better, because it was at the point where I felt like I couldn't leave the house without makeup, and now I'll leave my house, just bare face. Now, granted, I still can't leave the house without my hair looking right, because that's just like a non-negotiable. But I'm not as pressed to like always have on makeup and lashes. Granted, I do it, like, I feel like when I put makeup on, it's because I want to. And it might be because, I also want to just kind of like boost my mood a little bit, but I don't feel like heavily dependent on it. I'm not like, oh, I can't have people look at me without makeup on, because I was at that point, years ago, but I'm not at that point anymore. But I said all that to say that, when I was watching other women talk about this, a lot of them had came to the same realization that I did, where it's just like you kind of just accept it. And for me, I've always been in that scenario where my friends are usually way more better looking than I am. And, it's not really something that has ever caused problems or issues. I never made it into an issue. I never was like, like I'm not a hater. You know what I'm saying? I can acknowledge the fact that my friends are better looking than me.
Okay, let's talk about what she said about makeup. I don't wear makeup at all. The only thing I wear is maybe eyeshadow. I don't wear foundation because my skin is already oily as it is, and I don't recommend women that get oily skin wearing makeup because it ain't gonna do nothing but end up on somebody else's clothes. And the reason I don't wear foundation in particular is because when you have to hug somebody or you're basically going out with somebody, that foundation is going to end up on that man's shirt. And then if he go home and let's say he's got a wife, she gonna be like, wait a minute, what is this? Why is there foundation on your shirt? Now understanding there are a lot of women that wear foundation and a lot of people that wear that liquid foundation versus the powder foundation. But either way it goes, it's gonna end up on that man's shirt. And if you're somebody that get oily skin, foundation is not something you need to wear anyway. Not only that, makeup actually damages your skin. It actually has a chemical in it that basically makes you look older, which is the reason why when people get older, they have to end up going and getting Botox and why they have to end up getting all this stuff done because of the damage they've done to their face because of makeup. And that's why I say I don't wear but lipstick, lip gloss, eyeshadow, and maybe eyeliner. And I don't even wear eyeliner like that. So, like I said, I don't wear the blush, I don't wear the foundation, I don't wear none of that because it's not good on your skin. It's not healthy on your skin. Makeup is not good. I don't care if it's vegan or not. It still is not healthy for you. Because a lot of these females get older, they're going to wish to God that they didn't. And then not only that, I'm 50 years old and I don't have wrinkles. I have absolutely no wrinkles because wrinkles come from not only makeup but also stress. So I have none of that, and that's not even something I have to worry about. So I don't wear makeup. I don't feel that makeup enhances anybody. If anything, it makes you look older. And a lot of women don't even realize makeup, yeah, it may make you look better, but when that man sees you without makeup, that still don't mean he's gonna date you. There was a man whose wife wore makeup the whole entire time, and then when they got married and she took that makeup off, he got divorced because he's married to the woman that has the makeup on and not the woman without the makeup on. If a man can accept you for who you are behind closed doors, and he knows that you can look very nice in person, then most men are okay with that. But there are a lot of men that don't like a woman to wear makeup. They don't even like their female to even have makeup on. And there are some men that do. Some men just like natural beauty. So again, can't say everybody's the same because everybody's different. But let's go back to the video for a couple more minutes. Let me take myself out first and then start it.
But not, you know, knock them for that. You know what I mean? And I know that the question that came up a lot in those TikToks was whether or not, like, do you tell your friends? Like, if you are that person that feels as though you're the least attractive person in the friend group, do you even tell your friends that that's how you feel or that's how you're being treated? And a lot of the women said no, and I'm kind of on the same boat as that. I don't mention it. Mostly because it just gets back into the whole, like, I don't want to say politically correct, but as soon as you even mention like feeling average or being average, I feel like women are quick to be like, no, 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 you can't say that about yourself. You're a 10. The only way people are going to view you as a 10 is if you think of yourself as a 10. An unpopular opinion, I don't think that's necessarily true all the time. Yes, I do think confidence goes a long way. And I do think that when you walk into a room with confidence, people are more drawn to you and you are seen more attractive when you carry yourself that way. But just because I wake up in the morning and I tell myself that I'm a 10 does not mean I'm going to walk out of this house and every man that looks at me is going to think I'm a 10. That's just not realistic in my opinion. But that's usually what I'll get, like, if I even were to bother telling my friends, "Oh, hey, like I'm the least attractive one in the friend group." They're going to be like, "Oh no, girl, you're right, right on par with us. Like don't say that. Like that's not true. You're a 10, you're 100." I just don't feel like I don't feel like trying to explain myself to people. I just let people have it. But again, if we're speaking realistically, yes, I have been that friend that is viewed as, the least attractive. And again, for me, it's just something that I've just come to terms with. And yeah, again, when women have talked about this, right? They talk about how, they're out and about with their friend group, and they notice that men never approach them, like, ever. Like, they never get approached, they never get that attention from men, but their friends will always get that male attention. And again, I haven't had that happen to me too many times, but yeah, I definitely been out with friends and men will come up and speak to them, try to get their number and, flirt with them, and they won't even acknowledge me.
I can relate to that because it happens to me quite often. Men don't approach me when I go out with my sister and my homegirl. They don't approach me like that. Um, I was someone that was more so the tomboy, and I was way smaller than I am now before I had my son, and I gained my weight from my son. And even though I was active, I now know that I had fibroid issues, I had hernia issues, had multiple infections, and so it wasn't the fact that I wasn't working out. I had thyroid issues as well. So I had other things that were going on that made my weight what it was. But yeah, I've been out where I got dressed up. I looked very nice and very fly, and no man talked to me. And from that point on, I was like, what's the point of me getting dressed up for? And these men don't even approach me and don't even want to talk to me in the first place. So now I'm more so about a man getting to know me as a person and getting to know my personality. So that's like my friend that I know now. We met in a situation that I was going through, and we've been friends for quite a while. And he's seen my hair, he's seen my flaws, but he knows that when I go out with him, I do look nice when I go out. Um, I have dressed up and, did the whole nine with him when I went out, things like that. So it's not necessarily that, but he knows my struggles with my weight. He knows about my chronic pain issues, which has been a real hard thing for me because it is hard for me to work out when you have chronic pain. So I do understand what she's saying because a lot of females do go through this and it's just not talked about. It's not talked about the girls that even though they look nice, men just do not approach them because they rather talk to the friend. Or if your friends try to hook you up with somebody, this dude is not really interested in you. He's really interested in the girl that he's hooking you that you're being hooked up with. So I want people to understand that a lot of females do have to go online to try to meet people. A lot of females do have to do the catfishing to a certain degree because some people will, do something to their pictures and make their pictures more than what they are, and then when the person meets you, you're not what they thought you were because you use AI or use filters to make your pictures look better. So at the end of the day, like I said, there are a lot of women that cannot help the fact that they are quote unquote got flaws and imperfections. Women that have pigmentation issues. I mean, if you look at Winnie, the one that won America's Top Model, the one that's now modeling, this girl is dating a guy and he accepts her when it comes to her pigmentation. But I don't think he's black. But if it would have been a black man would have never accepted that girl for her pigmentation. They just wouldn't. I think he's biracial though. But anyway, like I said, there are some people that know their culture will never accept them, and they might meet somebody that's outside of their race that might actually accept them for who they are and want to be with them and be in a relationship with them. I saw a couple that on TikTok, you would have never thought somebody like her would have dated him. Would have never thought, and they met on Tinder, and now they're living together. He's a redneck. He's not a racist redneck, but he's a redneck, and he's married to a black girl. And everybody tell me I can't believe a redneck would be married to a black girl. Honey, you'd be amazed how many rednecks are dating a black girl. You'd be shocked. Not every redneck is a racist. Okay, let's just get that out the way. So yeah, it is difficult for some women. Some women, no matter what they wear, men do not approach them. It doesn't matter if they're cute or not. Men do not approach them because the body type that they have, men are not attracted to. And you got men all the time talking about, I want a woman with a banging body. But a lot of men don't understand that sex has nothing to do with what you look like, because it don't. It's got everything to do with how you make that person feel. But that's a whole another conversation within itself. A lot of people really don't know what sex is, and they really don't know what the true experience of sex is. And if they did, a lot of people wouldn't have the mind frames that they have. I think that being in a relationship with somebody should be more about a conversation than what somebody looked like. It's one thing if they got an odor. It's one thing if they dirty and they walk up to you, then yeah, I can understand you not wanting to talk to them, especially if they smell or they got an odor, or if they're homeless and they walk up to you. That's a whole nother conversation. But somebody that basically has themselves together, that is taking care of themselves, and they have, where they're financially stable and they're good. I don't see why you won't take the time to get to know them. Because again, I have seen women that have motivated their husbands to lose weight, and I have seen men that have motivated their wives to lose weight. But you have a lot of people that go get these tummy tucks and these liposuctions and gain the weight right back. They go get these gastric bypass surgeries and end up gaining the weight right on back. So to me, like I said, if I decide to go get a breast reduction, because I'm seriously thinking about doing it, I got to find out if my insurance is going to cover it. If they're going to cover me getting a breast reduction, I'm going to get one. Because for health reasons, I think I need to go get one. And I'm okay with that. I would take that time and I would, try to recuperate from it. So at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with somebody basically saying, I got to do what's best for me and do what made me happy at the end of the day. Because the breast is the hardest to lose when you're trying to lose weight. It's I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my girls, but they are just entirely too big. They're the biggest thing on me. But like I said, if you're gonna lose weight because of the fact of health reasons. Don't lose weight because you're trying to keep a man or because you're trying to get a man. Don't do anything for those reasons. Do it because you want to feel good about yourself. If you want to dress nice and be girly, do that because that's what you truly want to do. But at the end of the day, I feel like in the summer, you don't need to wear makeup in the summer because, honey, it's too hot for that. It is too hot for makeup. Seriously. So all I want people to do is do what makes them happy and do what brings them joy. And shout outs to this young lady for me using her video partially. But like I said, there are females out here that really feel that way. And I'm going to do a part two where I'm going to finish this video. But I just wanted people to understand there are people out here whose self esteem is not because they're not a good person or because they don't feel good about themselves. It's because they don't fit society standards, and more people are accepting the fact that they don't, and they don't want to be a part of society standards, and they want to do something different. So if you're someone like her or many others that are going through this issue, by all means email me. If you just want some encouragement, you want one-on-one coaching, or you just want to write me a letter just to get some advice, and maybe your letter will help so many people. You can email me at asha.mariama01@gmail.com. That's asha.mariama and I01@gmail.com. And I will email you back. And we can even have a session where we can talk about these things. Anybody that feels like their self esteem, self worth, and self values is gone because of society standards and the way you've been treated, if anybody's been bullied, by all means, you can email me. And I'll be more than happy to reach out to you and give you some inspiration and make you feel good about yourself. Because I really want to build a community of people like this that are going through this issue, which is part of the reason I created this podcast, because I wanted to basically create this podcast because people are literally not feeling good about themselves because they don't fit society standards and the way that people treat them and the way they're being bullied. So I really wanted to do this podcast to really make a difference because losing your self-esteem is something that's really devastating. And to recover to where you can basically get your self-esteem back, number one, like you said, you got to stop thinking and realizing that you're not going to be a part of society standards, and that that's not never going to be you, and that's okay if it's not. It really is. It's okay that it's not. So I just want to thank y'all for joining me for this episode. And we will be going more into these type of subjects, and we will be talking about this particular part. So we're gonna do part two to this video. I'm gonna leave this video in my thing so that way I can just go to it. And we'll look at some other videos of some other young ladies who feel this way, and really, because this is becoming an epidemic. It really is. A lot of women and men are saying this, as far as them feeling like they're not good enough, they're not worthy, they're never going to get married. And I would like to bring these people together, because I would like to build a community of people that don't fit society standards, so that way they can meet someone that's just like them, and someone that really might be a good fit for them. And that way I can have a whole bunch of people saying that if it wasn't for you, I would have never met my husband. If it wasn't for you, I'd never met my boyfriend. So, I really want people to meet people like them. And instead of them trying to go after people who don't want them, they get to meet a group of people that basically are like them, and actually got themselves together, have great friendships, and meet people that basically are able to, and I do want to do some meet and greets eventually where I'm able to, pull some people together. But I'm thinking about doing a YouTube group based upon this. And when I do, I'll let y'all know. If you're interested, please email me and let me know that you are interested in me doing this type of community. And I think it'd be great to have a community of people that's not perfect, that have flaws and imperfections and disabilities, and people that have a hard time finding love. And by bringing all of you together, I think it'll be great, because they don't make shows for people like us. They don't make shows for people that's unattractive and average, that really don't have a chance to find love. It's just always pretty people. And it's sad that they don't make shows for people that's unattractive. And then most of the people that are considered unattractive, regardless of what way it is, they're pretty much the ones that still don't get picked. I've seen many shows where that's happened, where some of these women are really sweet women and nice women, but they put them in a friend zone because they're not physically attracted to her, not understanding that some relationships, as far as physically, can happen over time. But like I said, that's just the way it goes sometimes. So with that being said, I think that is it for me for this episode, because I have another video I got to do at 6:30, and that one is about something similar to this, but it's about dating, and it's about the red flags when it comes to any type of relationship. And it's going to be on my African Melanin Queens. I'm probably some of y'all will probably see this a little bit later, but I'm really looking forward to doing that one as well. So I hope you guys have a very beautiful day and enjoy yourselves. I'm gonna take this time to just, chill for a little bit before I do it at 6:30 in the next couple minutes. So until then, I love you guys. I appreciate it. If you guys want to be members of my podcast, please go to Spreaker.com/this podcast and become a member. I would appreciate it. I go live on this podcast between 2 and 5. Sometimes I may not be able to do it exactly at 2 because I might be running out, but it will be before the end of the day, before 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at the latest. So, with that being said, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And we will talk later. Bye, guys.